All right. Hello, everybody. This is Leonard Johnson with the Run the Hammock podcast coming back to you again. And hope everybody who had to go through this minor weather setback, I hope everybody came out safe and everything. And pray for those people down in Florida who got hit right on the head with this thing. And gosh, I mean, that was a scary thing to have almost a category 5 coming on land. You might as well call it category 5 because that thing was busting up some stuff. I looked at some of the pictures and I saw boats on top of boats in there, and I said, wow, I think that dude must have really been mad at somebody. But just hope that everybody is safe and pray for the losses, the loss of lives there. Never want to see that, but wow. Let's just hope that we continue to skirt them along in South Carolina where we haven't been hit before. Let me thank you all again for your kind comments and your support and your encouragement in what we're doing. We just do it because I think there's a medium for it. Other than, like I was saying to Jody earlier, we're not going to talk much X's and O's in. That's another platform. All you get is argument. And someone told me one time before, the guy with the pen is the one who wins. So, and nobody's mind is going to be changed a lot, when you come from that. Secondly, we sponsor this. So if you get mad at something that you that we may say or something that you disagree with, call a sponsor. and that would be me. And we'll talk about it. So thank you. But again, seriously, thank you for your support, and hope you continue to look at it either live or on the recordings that we have. Tonight we got the infamous, fantastic, the dude.
Okay.
Jody Jenerette. We've been knowing each other for God. I don't even know, 13, 14, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, if I say 15.
Yeah. And
I was thinking 15.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember, and we go back a ways. I remember he brought his staff up to Scotch Branch when we were doing that simple thing and wanted to learn. Yeah. Yep. Someone taught it to me, and they said, pass it on. So I pass it on. and
I don't think you give yourself enough credit, Coach. You transformed the football program that day. All right, and from top to bottom. And we installed it in our rec league. Our rec league won the state championship in 2014. And from down on, it's still been rolling people up. So appreciate you.
Yeah. And we got the pleasure and the not so much pleasure of playing against each other. And
yeah, sure did.
When I moved on to Marion, and gosh, he whooped us with it.
No doubt. That was tough to prepare for, honestly, though, man. Like, that was the toughest weeks we've had to preparing for it. You know what I'm saying? It's tough when people run at you. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen other people talk about how hard it is to stop, and then whenever you go against it, you're like, man, this thing is a bear.
Yeah. So. And I remember my defensive coordinator at that time at Marion looking at me and said, "How do you stop this thing?" Hell, I don't know. Never had the opportunity. So we've had some battles in the years, but eventually we were fortunate enough to finally beat him. I think one side.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I think we played a 3 overtime game. I can't remember. But we've always had good games, and our kids started believing in what we were doing, and we got kind of good at it. But this is not about me and everything. This is about Jody Jenerette and the great West Florence program. And I did say West Florence, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's where you at, right?
Definitely.
Okay, that's so I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna bring you on, make you bigger.
Okay.
And this is your screen. There we go.
All right.
That's the wrong one. There we go. Here we go. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, welcome, Jody, and thank you for coming on the podcast tonight. You, like I said, you're a great friend, and I don't know why I didn't ask you earlier, but I think 2 weeks ago I said I got to get him on.
You probably wanted better ratings, leaving me off.
Well, Jody, for those, I know there were 6 people that didn't know you in the state of North Carolina, because everybody in South Carolina know you. Would you want to talk to those people in North Carolina and tell them who Jody Jenerette is?
Sure. I've been at West Florence now for 5 years, and it's the best thing I ever did in my life. I needed to change. I was at Aynor for 13 years. That was my alma mater. So I think sometimes when you're living in a place and you're from that place and you're coaching the team, it can get old in a hurry. And it's not negative toward our parents or our fans or our team or anything like that. But when you go grocery shopping and you hear it nonstop, 24 hours a day about coming back home and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, I think every coach needs to take a look around. And that's what luckily we did. We found a great opportunity at West Florence High School, great athletic director and Greg Johnson, and my principal's fantastic. He's a college football player, so he gets it. And we've been there 5 years, and we've been, I think Friday night when we beat Myrtle Beach, that was our 40th win in 5 years. And, it's just been a great, great marriage. It's been fantastic as far as how things are going. So, I hope we can keep it rolling. We're right now we're undefeated, 6-0, but our region's just a bear. We still got Hartsville left. We still got South Florence left. We still got Wilson left. Still got North Myrtle left. They played for state championship 22 months ago. So, it's unbelievable. But I'm a blessed man. I got a daughter. She's in the 10th grade, and just especially my nephews. Both are coaching. One's coaching at Lexington, and one's coaching at South Carolina. He's coaching tight ends, helping with that program. So. The good Lord's looked out for me. So I hope that's all you need to know right now. Hopefully we get into it a little bit here today.
Yeah. Well, most of the guys who come in here, in order to keep peace in the house, they talk about mama and the one who run the house. You want to talk about that?
She's been fantastic, man. Obviously I'm still living in Conway, so I drive about 50 minutes a day. And she understood I needed a change, and she's been fantastic. She's a teacher also at Aynor. So, she teaches, she keeps everything at home safe, keeps everybody happy. And it's honestly been an easy transition. I thought it was going to be a nightmare with me making this drive every day, but thankful for podcasts and things like that. That's been great. But she has been unbelievable. And we've been together forever. We were high school sweethearts, and gosh knows, it's just I couldn't imagine what I would be without her.
She been putting up with you that long?
Yeah, can you believe it? That shocks me. That shocks me too every day. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm shocked.
Well, keep it like it is, man.
No doubt.
You and I'm not saying this disparagingly. When I thought you did some of the best coaching in your life when you were at Aynor.
Yep.
Because you were playing with not the best talent, but you put it together. How did you get those kids to believe, man?
Honestly, when I came from Conway, which was obviously a powerhouse here in South Carolina, and I thought we could do the same thing there. And we ran zone and we threw the ball, and I'm sitting there like, man, this ain't gonna work, because we were, just limited athletically. And we're just sitting around searching, and we came up with a double wing. And I was like, I didn't believe in it. I was like everybody else. When you first see it, it's like, that's a rugby scrum. That's not gonna work. That's not football. But then when we started messing with a little bit, started using kind of our terminology, got to get everything kind of fixed up together. And honestly, man, the double wing it gave our kids hope. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand is your kids have got to believe in your system from top to bottom. And the biggest problem I made when I got there, I didn't instill anything in the rec league program to begin with. I let those guys kind of do their own thing, and it came back to bite us for about the first 5 or 6 years I was there. Mm-hmm. And then we started saying, hey, man, let's go down, let's build it. And we started building it from the ground level, and our rec league coaches believed in it. Alex Richardson was fantastic. He's the one that kind of sold us those guys on it. And now you're reaping the benefits of it. But as far as the belief system, when they actually started scoring points, that's when they started believing, man. I mean, because you go from scoring 6 or 7 points a game to averaging, 28, 30 points a game and actually hanging around against really good people. And that's kind of when we kind of hooked them. And it was an absolute complete – I hate using coach terminology, but you can see from top to bottom how the entire atmosphere and the entire culture of our community bought into it. And obviously people still want you to throw the ball and that kind of stuff. You got to kind of shut them out. Mm-hmm. But there's opportunities in that offensive throw, and there's all opportunities to, break people's will. And that's what we did. We started breaking people's will, and they started saying, I don't want to play football against this team anymore.
Mm-hmm. And you see that, and the biggest thing, I think a lot of time people compare their programs to other programs, and think but you got to look inside. Those guys own that. Everybody knows they owned it, and you never had a bad day of practice because everybody.
I told people, man, the hardest being a head coach in 22, you're just a fixer. You just fix problems nonstop. But the only time you have a really good time is those 2 hours out there in that practice field. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love every second of actually practicing. Mm-hmm. As far as the other aspect of things, I don't, whatever. But yeah, there's no doubt. You're exactly right.
Yeah, those years of practice that when I was running it religiously, they were just like being in the eye of a hurricane. Nothing, everything was around you, but right there. Yeah, those are the 2 or 3 hours worth every day of enjoyment, and because the kids bought into it and they loved it and everything. Now you move on to West Florence, and what was that first year like?
We were blessed. We had an incredible group of football players. Now, as far as a cultural standpoint, that kind of things, we had to go bring our stuff in. But I'm kind of different. I didn't fire anybody that was there. I kept every single coach that was there. I told those guys, I said, if you'll just do what we asked you to do, you'll keep your job and you'll be with me forever. And luckily, I don't think I've had anybody leave. You know what I'm saying? So that's been one positive. We had one guy leave. He was driving an hour a day. He had to leave. But as far as the staff that was there, they all bought in and they were all fantastic. I can't describe to you the way those guys loved our energy and how we practice. I do things a lot different than most people. It's adapt or die. That's my concept is adapt or die. If you keep doing the old same truth that people were doing 50 years ago, I don't think you can get these new guys to buy in. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I brought to that staff when we brought in. I said, guys, we're going to do it this way. And they're off the field in less than 2 hours. We practice fast. We don't wear pants at practice. We don't wear girdles at practice. We go as fast as we can possibly go, and it's high octane and high energy. But now, as far as the group we had a really good running back, Allen Ford. He's still tearing it up in Chattanooga, and Cooper Wallace was our quarterback. Who's been fantastic. And those two guys were the guys we had to hook to begin with. Those two guys were the ones that we had to say, this is how I want to do things. And once we got them, the rest of everybody kind of bought in. We had a few fall by the wayside, but we didn't lose that many kids either. And I think we won 11 games that year and lost to Dutch Fork, in the 5A playoffs. And now we're 4A. But, that was an eye-opener experience playing those guys as well, So I think that was the biggest thing my first year is just making sure those kids knew I loved them, make sure I'm going to care about them, make sure that we're here to stay. And that's what they had to see. The kids got to know that you're in there for the long haul with them too.
Now, let me make sure I'm right, because I didn't see much of you after I left Marion.
Right.
You were more single wing more than double wing.
Yes, 100%. We were shotgun, single wing.
Okay. Now, you brought that same concept to West Florence, or did you kind of change?
Some of it. Now, I'm still that same run-aboard guy. We're going 45-degree everything. That's what we did. But, when you got Darryl Page as your offense coordinator, you new guys that don't know Coach Page, he's a legend. He's won a state championship at Wilson High School. He was my offense coordinator. He's kind of the guy that, he's able to communicate things in a different way than I'm able to communicate them to him. And I'm going to do whatever he says do, man. And that's what we did. But we married together. Honestly, the first spring I was there, I told him, I said, Darryl, we're going to throw the ball? I said, because I thought he was, I thought that's all he did was throw it. And that first spring, I was like, man, are you ever going to throw the football? But he loves to run it more than I do. And he saw kind of how I do things, marry up with how he does things conceptually. And it's really been a pretty good relationship. I love him, and he knows kind of how we want to do things. But honestly, we're supposed to be zoning now, supposedly zone blocking. But the more I see how we did the power and how we ran the hammer at Aynor, and we married up, and it looks very similar. I'll be honest with you, man. I think coaches spend way too long on zone blocking and don't spend enough time on getting kids to come off the daggone ball or hit people in the face. So that's the biggest thing we did. I mean, at some point in time, you got to be more physical to your opponent. If you want to go out there and two-hand touch and talk about, this step and that step, I mean, I get it. I'm all in on that too. But at some point in time, you got to knock the other guy out. And that's what we kind of hope we do sometimes.
So you had to do more changing than everybody else?
Yeah. I think so, because when you – go ahead. When you got a dynamic running back like we had a dynamic running back when I walked in the door. And the worst thing I could have ever done is screw that kid up. So basically I took what they were doing and married it up to how I can teach it, because I can only teach it the way I know how to do it. I don't want to sit there and reinvent myself. I always think I want to make things as easy as I can for kids. It's got to be A or B. If it's ever C, you're completely wasting your time. And that's what we try to do with our guys is say, hey, man, there's a two-way go. This is it. You're going to do it A or B. And once we got all that ball, I had to change as far as how we do things. And, as far we were pretty dang close to being single wing, to be honest with you, man, because we ran the ball. We didn't throw it that much. And honestly, it married up real easy. It weren't like I didn't have to reteach myself. I made it real easy for those guys.
How hard was it for you to make that change with you after doing that?
Man, it really weren't as bad as you think it was. I think the biggest thing with us was just staying on our angles. I had to teach our kids about angles and staying on that angle, staying on that track, and not coming off of that track. Because sometimes high school kids want to be selfish. They want to come off that track and hit that linebacker that we're leaving the wrap to. And like I told you before we started, we're still kicking with our tackle. We're pulling that tight end around. He's a wrap guy. The concepts that we have really made a lot of sense of what Coach Page wanted to do. And I think with me, it was just sitting down on that board with him and me and him saying, hey, man, let's make this as easy as we can make it. And honestly, we have not changed one bit since we got here 5 years ago. It's been – this is the concept we're going to do, and that's what we stick with.
I think that's your total success right there, that you were able to not have that ego.
No, I left that at the door. No, you got to leave. Yeah, and I've heard horror stories with other coaches coming in and saying we're going to change everything. Yeah, I don't want to fire these guys. I mean, these guys were good dudes. They wanted somebody to kind of a lot of fire in those kids, and that's what we did. I mean, you got to be excited to be at football practice. And that's the thing with me, man. If they come out of our practices, I'm screaming 24/7. It ain't screaming like you suck, that kind of stuff. It's hey, man, let's have some fun, because football's fun. These kids got every other avenue they want in their life to do something else. You got to make it at least interesting and fun for them. And you can say, well, yeah, you win 11 games. You've done that. Well, we went 6-6 too, and we went 6-5 too. And I think that's we still have fun at practice, and that's part of it too.
Let's talk about that staff.
Right.
You've already mentioned Darryl.
Yeah.
How did you get your staff to get into how did they stop believing in you?
I really don't. That's a great question, because we came out and we hit the ground running. I had to work at Aynor until third block. And we didn't really meet a ton. I think we met like twice. And I said, guys, the only thing I ask you to do, man, is practice fast. And I said, be energetic, practice fast, and let's have fun. And the good thing was, since keeping everybody, we were able to stay with, you know, what they did on defense and what they were doing in some aspect on offense. So I think the biggest thing was just being an energy guy, coming in and just making sure that they know, hey man, I'm gonna let you coach. I'm not gonna come out here and babysit you. You know, you're a grown man. I said, now obviously if we have a problem, I'm gonna put my foot down. But for the most part, those guys balled in and it was never an issue. And I honestly, man, I'm lucky. I hear horror stories from other coaches around that when they come in and they have a staff, they have a new staff that they have problems with and that kind of stuff. And this guy don't want to work and that guy don't want to work. Well, I mean, you know, and sitting in this seat, the biggest thing in Florence is you're not going to be able to hire many other coaches. You know what I'm saying? We pay good, but we don't pay that good. Mm-hmm. So, and I heard that going in that you would have a hard time hiring new coaches. And now I understand that now. So it's my job to get that guy that maybe don't have the knowledge of another coach somewhere else. Say, hey man, let's make this simple enough for you to understand it and for your kids to understand it. And let's just make sure we get the most out of what we can. And luckily that's what we've done. I mean, we've been able to, the staff that's there and the guys, they believe in me, they believe in each other, they love each other. I told them the first day, I said, guys, I'm not going to be around anybody I don't love and anybody I don't care about. I said, if you're not going to love each other and we're not in this room together, I said, I can't have you around me. And I've always believed that I've had a great time with our staff. I've never had a guy that we disliked or anything like that. It's always been we care about each other tremendously.
You mentioned the high tempo that you use in practice and everything, and I assume that's in the entire program, weight room and everything.
Yeah, oh yes.
Yeah, you just don't drag it on the field. You know, and snap a finger at everybody. Yeah. How long did it take the kids to buy into Jody?
Oh man, that was a trip. I think the first day we had like 15 want to quit. They didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me that, but they said, man, this guy's crazy. They go in the locker room because, you know, we never stop during practice. We run during practice. Like if we condition this during practice, there's never an actual moment where we actually stop. They get like 2-minute breaks, 3-minute breaks at the most. So there's never a stopping point. I think most programs, you know, you stop for a while and drink water and hang out and stand around. That's not the way it was. We hit the ground. First thing we do, I call it NASCAR. We just start running plays, and they're doing tackling circle on the other end, or they're doing a pursuit drill on the other end. And I think that was the biggest thing was the tempo of our practice. I think that was the one that kids were. But I also think kids love it. I think they love going fast. I think that's what they want to do. Nobody anymore wants to stand around and watch practice. I told our coaches during our meeting just a minute ago, I said, guys, we got too many guys when we go team O and we don't, go against the scout. We've got too many guys standing around. I said, we got to come. So right now we're going to come up tomorrow with a tackle circuit for those 15, 20 guys. They're going to do something, a fumble circuit, something. I absolutely despise seeing a kid standing around during football practice. And but as far as that first day, yeah, that was definitely a shock because, how we do things, I think is different than most people do it. But I also think kids love it. And that's what you got to do, man. They've got to be the ones excited to be at practice as well.
And now they, what do they call you? Coach what?
Jay.
Coach who?
Jay. Jay as in Jody. Coach Jay.
Coach Jay. Okay. Because
I'm good with that, man. They probably call me a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, they always come up with a name for you if they like you and everything.
No doubt.
You mentioned you just you must have been rushing real hard to get from practice. I mean, to get from meeting back to Conway and all that stuff. And I appreciate you driving that long time, rushing through traffic to get home to be on this podcast. How was the traffic out there?
Here's all right, man. All right. We don't meet. We do everything Google Meets. Me and you were talking before we started. I think that here's what I try to do, man. I try to think of everything every other school has done for the last 20 years and do it absolutely different. Uh-huh. And, and I know that sounds like, well, he's arrogant. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to think of I'm trying to think of different ways to do things. And so right now, my first year, I drove every Sunday. We met just like everybody else used to. And I'd sit there, man, it was like 3 or 4 o'clock, and I'm like, why am I here right now? I said, because we're going to run zone, we're going to run counter, and this is what we're going to do. You know, if you can't run it against everything, then why are you running it at all? You know, so basically all you're doing is looking at personnel, seeing what defense they're in. I find out if it's odd or even, and we roll on from there. But, my coaches appreciate that. They love it. You know, we'll meet. Here's what most time we get the film on Friday, and Coach Page already starts breaking down that film the day of the game. He breaks down our next opponent on that Friday. So by Saturday afternoon, he has his Google slide presentation already together. So when we meet, I'll come in, we'll do it through Zoom. We'll start at 2 o'clock, and I'll tell them exactly, you know, I'll have usually about 15 dots I want to cover, 15 things we need to do. And after that, the defense breaks off in their area. We'll break off in our area. And by the time we've texted each other all weekend and we've communicated all weekend, it's like I told you, I don't see the point in it. Why 7 grown adult males have to sit there and stare at a TV anymore in 2022. And I just think we've been pretty successful doing it this way. And I know we got really good players, but we also are. The only time, I tell you the truth, the only time I felt like we were out coached was last year in the lower state championship game against Beaufort. I felt like those guys were more prepared than we were. And I think that's, you know, after 5 years, if you've been out coached one time, I think that's a pretty good way you're doing things. So they've also helped us too. So that's why we do it this way.
When guys ask me a lot of times, what time do you get out of practice on Sunday? What time you get out of practice on Saturday? Meetings that they were talking about.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we don't meet.
No doubt.
You know, it's only one play.
No doubt.
One play and we run, and we had to sort out with our defense. We could adjust to anything. So, why am I going to? Yeah. You got to get that family some time.
No doubt.
You got to give them. You got to make mama happy sometime along the way.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we overdo it. We overkill it.
Yeah.
There's only so much that you can do on a Saturday or on Sunday.
I'll tell you another thing that we do, Coach, that I've I think made my staff very happy. We're lucky enough that we practice during first block. You know, most schools practice fourth block. You know,
wow.
in South Carolina.
Wow.
Now, here's what we do. We took the 7 a.m. concept. If I'm a parent and I'm bringing my child up there all summer long, June and July at 7 a.m., then why all of a sudden am I saying, hey, we need you to come pick them up at 6 p.m. now instead of 7 a.m. So I talked to my principal about it, and it was easier for us to get our players into first block football instead of fourth block football. Fourth block football, we'd always have 5 or 6 guys that couldn't make it. But first block football, we've never had one issue with it. This has been our 3rd year doing it. Well, actually, our second year. So we'll go at 7, and most of the time we're done, I'd say by about 9:15. Our guys are able to go take a shower. We have about 25, 30 guys take a shower on campus, and they go to second block at 10 a.m. And it's been I've got 10 guys that have full-time jobs in the afternoon. They're actually holding down jobs they would not be able to do if they didn't do it this way. And, when they're able to babysit in the afternoon, they're able to obviously do their academic part of stuff in the afternoon as well. And honestly, there is no negative. And we've searched for negatives, to be honest with you. The only negative we have is our kids have to get up and come to practice. And they love it. Our kids love it. Obviously, our coaches love it because they're able to go home at 3:30 every day. And the biggest thing, heat aspect, obviously we've taken that out of question. We don't get wet bulb at all, and I know everybody's saying, well, I can't. Well, yeah, you can. You have, at some point in time, and you got to think outside the box. If you never tried, it ain't never going to happen. I promise you that. And, there's no negative. And, it's been great for us. The only thing, maybe we still live 3 times a week, and that goes back to that practicing shorter thing. So, we love it. Our kids love it, and I hope I can keep it up.
You just dropped a gold nugget right there.
I knew that'd get you fired up.
Yeah,
I knew you'd love that.
Yeah, that's great. I always thought about it, but
Yeah.
never pulled pull the plug on it.
Yeah.
Y'all got some fantastic facilities upgrade right now.
Yeah.
And who I can't remember who I was talking to before, but that superintendent y'all got, man, he's the bomb.
Yeah, man. He's one of a kind, man. I tell somebody he's got just enough Yankee in him to make everybody mad, and that's what he does. But whatever he wants done, he's gonna do it. He don't care what you say, what anybody says. There's no committees in Florence School District 1. It's him. He's the beginning and the ending. There's no middle ground, and he's fantastic to work with. He communicates well with me. And I told somebody I was over County for 13 years. I never met this superintendent. You know what I'm saying? He never came. And it's not a knock on him. It's just the way it was. This guy, you're gonna see him at least twice a week. There's no doubt. And he's gonna come talk to you about something that you need to do or you're not doing and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Dr. O'Malley, he honestly, the investment that he made into those facilities at all three of our schools, Wilson, South Florence, and West Florence, it's unbelievable the difference it's already made. I think South Florence is number 1 in the state right now. We're number 3. Wilson is having a fantastic season. And we got really good players, but we have the nicest weight rooms you're going to see on our level. I think we dropped like $500,000 on our weight room that we had. We didn't have air conditioning in our weight room when I first got there. Nothing new. It was old racks, that kind of stuff. And he did it. And it's like I asked him, how are you going to afford this? He goes, I'm going to borrow the money. And I don't care how they pay it back as soon as I'm gone. So. That's him, though, man. He's going to do it his way. And you need to get out of the way and either buy in or be gone. And that's what he does. And, he's tough to work for in some aspects. Some of us, like some other people. But now, as far as what he wants done, it's always thought out. It makes a lot of sense. But having turf, I think the thing that people don't understand about turf, I know everybody talks about I ain't got to paint the field, but you got to think about your equipment too. Your balls aren't getting muddy, your cleats aren't getting muddy, your pads are safer. There is no negative, and I know it costs a lot, but you'll see around South Carolina, everybody's getting turf now, and the reason being is because of him. If Florence School District 1 can do it, there's no reason why any spot in the state can't do it.
It's just amazing that it takes somebody.
One person.
But more than that, to take somebody from outside, to come shake out the things. Because
my aunt was a bigwig in Marion for a while, and she told me when I got the job in Florence, Jody, the one thing you got to know is they haven't changed in 50 years, and they ain't gonna change. And then within 2 years, the entire landscape of that area has changed just because of Dr. O'Malley and what he believes in.
Well, that's great, man. But you at the right place at the right time. What about your principal?
My principal?
Mm-hmm.
He came out through 707 with us my first week I was there.
He did what now?
He played college quarterback. It's a small school up in Pennsylvania, but we came out and I said, man, I ain't got one quarterback. Because you got any ideas? I'll come out and throw. Man, he spin it, and I was like, oh, we get to go. Yeah, he's and that's another thing, man. People, it's all about fit. And once you have an AD that buys in and a principal that figures it out, it's really. And the good thing, man, my coaches and me would do anything in the world for that man. Anything he asked us to do. He asked me to cover duty, I'm there. He asked me to do this, I'm there. He wanted me to pick up trash, I'll pick up trash. I'll do whatever that man tells me to do because I've seen bad principles and I've seen how it affects your school and I've seen how it affects your athletic programs. And when you get it going, man, you better do whatever he asks you to do and do it the best of your ability because bad from top to bottom is rough.
5 years, where do you see West Florence?
5 years from now, I think you can stay in the top 5. The thing about the Florence PD area, they've always gonna have players. And I think that's the thing that everybody's realizing right now is now you've got staffs and coaches and that want to win it all. They want to win a state championship. And when you got the facilities we have, the weight room we have, and everything that we have, I think the sky's the limit. I think you can do anything you want. Honestly, man, if you can win at Aynor High School, this ain't tooting my horn. It's mostly for Jason. If you can win there, you can win anywhere. And if you bring that same work ethic to a place that actually has dudes, like West Florence has dudes, and if you can get your basketball players to come out, which right now our three best football players, all through our three best basketball players, once you do that, there's a ton. The sky's the limit. I think that the only thing you do is just you can hurt yourself as far as not believing in what you can do. I think you can go win it all.
And in 5 years, what we going to say?
Oh man, I hope they say state champion. I mean, I think that's every coach's dream. I think that's every coach's goal. And Darryl talks to me about it all the time. He says, man, you got a really good resume right now, but there's one thing missing. And he always gives me a hard time about it. You know what I'm saying? He wears his ring to practice and he just twirls it the whole time. But he's right. I mean, I think that's what you want to do. You want to win it all. If you're not here to win it all, then why are you here? And there's a high expectations in our program right now. And there's high expectations this season. And we got to keep winning and keep working. And the one thing we made a run last year, play for Lower State Championship last year. One thing I can tell you, man, is you never know. I said because we weren't that good early, and we got hot, and our kids started believing in it, and it was a lot of fun. And I would love to take that next step.
Mm-hmm. We were. I think after the first one, we won, and we came back, and guys got the state's championship disease.
No doubt.
All he had to do was show up. But some of the guys were talking about the other day. Say, Coach, we were 1-4, and and we got it together eventually. But we didn't lose again until time ran out on us in the state championship game. So you get that culture right. Guys stop believing in what they can do. And really they don't know what their limits are until they're tested.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt.
What about that fan base?
They've been great. Our student section is unbelievable. I mean, they're intimidating. Honestly, we played South Florence last year, and I looked around. And I was like, there were 6,000 people there at that game, and obviously, I've never coached anything like that. But our fans, I think they've lost so much in the history of the school that they'll do anything right now. We have to do, man. We've been lucky. Everywhere we go, we got more fans usually than the opposing team. But our student section, there's nothing like it, man. What those kids do, and the thing that high school students don't know is how important that is to the football team. You know what I'm saying? When you look up there, man, and that entire section's full of just students, you're like, man, we're doing something right, and it's unreal. And honestly, like when the newspaper and the TV crews come, they'll look up there and they say they've never seen anything like that. And I said, this West Florence. I say this is West Florence more than anything else. I say it's different here. We do things different here, and it's West Florence football. And this is what you wanted when you signed up to come out here and work as hard as we work. This is what you want, and that's what we're getting right now.
Now, do your guys ask? I'm talking about your players right now. Do they ask for more work? The question is, how are they handling the success?
The problem we're having right now. Our guys think. Well, actually, they thought. Like our first game, I think they thought that they were supposed to be the West Florence from 2021 in November, and they thought they would just show up. They worked, but it's tough when you got a whole team coming back from a team to play for Lower State Championship. They think that they should be in that form. That's a better way to say it. That form by week 0 or week 1. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I said, guys, that ain't how it works. Football's not a light switch. You can't turn it on and turn it off. I said, you've got to do everything every single day, and hopefully you'll get a chance to go back to Lower State, or hopefully get a chance to play for state championship. And I think they're starting to see that now. I can see the last 2 or 3 weeks, they start to figure out, man, football's hard. We tell them every day, man, football is really hard. And I think yesterday, 10 of the bottom 15, top 25 lost or something like that. Something ridiculous yesterday. And I told them, I said, that's because football ain't easy, man. And I think the problem right now is not my guys, but other teams, they'll want it to be instant like that right there. And there's nothing instant in football. It takes time and it takes hard work. And it don't matter who your opponent is, your butt baby ready to play. Because 2 or 3 turnovers, you could lose to a bad rec league team.
And you are not the what's that old thing? You are not the hunter now. You are the huntee.
Exactly. Yeah, we say that all the time, man. And that you can see it. Like when we go play people, they play their absolute minds. They play as hard as they can possibly play. And that's the part our guys got to understand too, man. These guys are going to give us their best shot every single Friday night.
Yeah. How have your parents bought into you?
Well, this is one of the downsides of me living an hour away or 50 minutes away. I don't get to see them as much as I would. Sometimes I kind of want to say, hang out a little bit, but they're kind of wait and see. They don't really bother me that much. And I know I hear horror stories, and I've already had horror stories happen to me at Aynor. But since I've gotten to Florence, it's more of like, they want to see if you care about their kid. And I think that was the biggest thing when I first got there. They're just kind of waiting to see, does this guy really love my student or my child? And I think they've seen how our staff is. I'm a predominantly African-American coaching staff. Now, I think I've got, strong black male influences. And you can say it don't matter. It does. And I think that they know that their kids are going to be looked out for. And they're going to be in a place where, we care about their grades. I think we did our grade check last week. I had 5 kids that had 70 or it was unbelievable. Last grade check was the best grade check we ever had since I've been there. And I think it's because we put our thumb in those guys, and we make sure that they know that we're going to worry about them as a total person, top to bottom. And that's been one thing about our parents. They really let me coach. They don't say a lot to me, but I think they know that we care about our kids.
No, I never knew the demographic stuff on West Florence. What are they?
Right now, we're 50-50. When I first got there, man, it was probably like more 65 white, 35 African-American. But right now, it's 50-50 because we picked up the Timmonsville kids.
Okay.
And, we got all of them. They had school of choice. They could choose to go to Wilson, South, or us. But we got most of those guys. And we have a good bit planned for us. I wish we had more. I kind of felt like the transition was so late that we could have got more of those guys. I think we'll get all of them next year. But it's not old West Florence. I can tell you that for sure. I think the myth is West Florence is like it used to be, where it's country clubs and nice cars, but not anymore, and but that's cool. That's good for me, and it's good for our. I think as obviously the way society is right now, you better learn to live together and love each other. Because it's a tough time right now.
It's crazy out there, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's crazy out there.
I think when people push private school, I'm like, at some point in time, you're going to have to get thrown into the fire in the real world. I said, so you might as well start when you're young and get used to it. Yeah.
How you going to know what it is unless you experience it? Unless you get burned a couple of times.
Yeah.
You can't protect them for life.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Yeah. A couple of last questions right here. Let's talk about your overall season as it's going right now.
Okay. Well, right now we're 6-0, and the thing that we had last week, we had to play Burns, which the new people, Burns is probably one. Here's what we had to play: Burns on Friday, then we had to turn around and play at Myrtle Beach on Wednesday. West Florence had never beaten Myrtle Beach in the history of the school. So we had to play the perennial 5A state power, Burns, and 5 days later we had to play a team we've never beaten in the history of the school. So I think we looked up, there's 18 combined state champions between those two programs. So that's where we kind of, we played okay the first 4 weeks, then played great, beat Lexington week 0, which is they're ranked in the top 5 in the state too in 5A. But after that, we kind of slept through the rest of it, and then boom, we had to play Burns and Myrtle Beach back to back. So for us to be 6-0 right now, super happy. I think that's I don't know when our schedule was released that you would have said that you beat Burns and Myrtle Beach in back-to-back weeks. You know what I'm saying? So now we got to see where we go from here, because we got obviously North Portal this Friday, and then Hartsville, South, and Wilson. It's just that grind starting with our region. But obviously right now we're happy. You're undefeated, 6-0, and I think obviously that's where you wanted to be to begin this whole thing. Now, are we hungry? I don't know. We'll see. Friday's going to be tough. We're a year-round school with Florence School District 1, so next week's our kids' week out off of school. So we've got to see if we can bring a good mentality, not having to go to school and get on the bus and go back to North Myrtle Beach. So that's back-to-back 2-hour trips for us. So, this week's going to be a bear. But, I'm as happy as I can be. We're exactly where we thought we would be. We're exactly where we need to be. Man, we got to find a way to win out. Because here's the thing, man. You go on the road to the playoffs, it's tough. And I mean,
it is tough.
Yeah, man, because last year, I felt like we were pretty good last year, and we had to go to South Aiken, to Hartsville, to Beaufort. And I mean, that's hard, man. And we were a good football team, and then got stuck on the road for those are all 2.5 hour trips, except for Hartsville. And that was a bear. We're trying to avoid that. We want to finish at least top 2 in the region to try to avoid that aspect of the playoffs.
Well, Jody, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Wow.
Yeah, man.
But I think you dropped some nuggets right there, man. Let me ask you this question right here.
Okay.
Talking to young coaches, what would you advise them in their career as they attempt to rise up? What would be some of the things, some of the nuggets you would drop on a young coach right now? To any coach that has not reached their goals yet.
Avoid X and O's all the time. I think it's more about relationships. I know it's more about relationships. I know it's about how do you care about the guy beside you. Would you do anything your head coach asks you to do? I mean, I think that's part of it. And you hear washing clothes and doing this. That's all good, but I mean, you need to love your players. First of all, you need to worry about your room. If you're the offensive line coach, man, you take all the pressure off of your head coach. You make sure your offensive line room does whatever they're supposed to do. If they're out there rolling after practice, if they're out there getting punished after practice, at some point in time, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the thing I think I did a really good job when I was an assistant. When at Conway High School, Chuck Jordan never have to worry about offensive line. I handled every single one of them. There was never an issue where he had, and I ain't saying I did something great, but I had a relationship with my guys, and I told them, I said, you will not embarrass me. So here's the thing, if all your assistant coaches take that mentality, guess what the head coach has got to do? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he don't have to handle those problems because if you'll handle your room to the best of your ability, create relationships with them, love them up. Ain't nothing wrong with telling them you love them. Ain't nothing wrong with putting your arm around them. It don't make you soft. It makes you a great role model for those kids. And to me, that's what high school football coach is all about, man. Is relationships, loving that guy beside you, and then letting that take over the entire room. When you love each other, and it takes over your entire facility. It's a magical thing, and that's kind of what we're going through right now. So that's my advice. I hope it helps. If you want to reach out and talk about it a little more, that's cool. But that's the thing I didn't know when I first started. I didn't know how much relationships meant. They mean a lot. They mean a lot more than you'll ever know.
Amen.
No doubt.
Amen. Okay, man. Well, got one more question.
Okay.
And you can go and you can play with look at more football and play around and everything.
No doubt.
You got 1 hour with two individuals. One being a football coach, one being a non-football coach. Who would those two people be and why?
I love Sam Pittman at Arkansas. He's I know that's an odd answer, but he's my kind of guy.
No, it's your answer. No, it's your answer.
Yeah, definitely Pittman. I think he's the kind of guy that, he's what he does offensive line wise and how he coaches his kids. And you can see how he cares about them. I think he's the kind of guy that would definitely, that's the kind of guy I want to be around. And probably I would love to talk to my brother again. My brother died 10 years ago, extremely unexpectedly. And I would love to have that chance to see him again and talk with him again. And, but with his death taught me a lot about loving, caring for people. You know, I was able to help raise his 2 sons. And, yeah, that's me. I would love to talk to Sam Pittman and my brother. I'd love to see my brother one more time, talk with him.
All right, then. Well, Jody, I really appreciate you coming on, man. You don't know, it's all on me, man. I really appreciate it. And you know, I'm your backseat rooter.
Well, it's like I told you when we got on the phone. You changed the program that day at Scotts Branch High School. And here's the thing: I didn't know you. You didn't know me. We walked in that door, and from then on, I just that day we still talk about it. My old coaches, we still talk about that day. That's how much that day meant to us. So, you know, young coaches, take advantage of every moment you get.
Okay, Jody. Well, good luck this weekend. Have a good. Have a good morning week of practice.
No doubt. You there? You know you love it.
I do. I really do, man. I mean, I can see things just flying open right now. And you have a good night's rest, man. And we'll talk later. Okay.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, buddy.
Bye bye.
All right, guys. That's the great Jody Jenerette. And wow, you see why things have just exploded there at West Florence. And he does a good job everywhere he does, even as an assistant. Okay, we got 2 more coming up tonight, and next one is at 6:15, I believe. Yeah, 6:15, and we'll be back on. And again, let me put a plug in for what I do. If you need quotes and need someone to look at your retirement program, especially teachers, or your second retirement program, because I know you got a retirement program with the state, but you also strongly need that secondary one. If you need that reviewed, or if you don't have one, call me. We'll get you. We'll give you some options. How's that? Until then, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in about 20 minutes. Bye-bye.